So a few years ago, I found myself here at my local recycling center where I was dropping off some old paint and batteries to be disposed of. And while I was there, I noticed in one corner that there was a pile of computers that were sitting there that people had dropped off to be recycled. And being raised in a household where not very much was wasted, I was very curious, and I wondered if these computers possibly still worked, and maybe even they could be reused. So I loaded them up, brought them home. I got home, with more stuff than I had left with, and I didn't know anything about computers. I didn't know how they worked. I didn't know what made them tick. So I set about trying to learn. So with the help of friends, the internet, some good old trial and error, I eventually got all but one working. So then, now the proud owner of these computers, these are them here, I had to figure out what to do with them. I didn't need them all. So I sent a letter to my municipality seeking their support in an idea I had. So the idea was to take everything that was dropped off, all the computer equipment dropped off at the recycling center, and to take what I could to fix it, to rebuild it into something that was usable, and then to give it away to a local organization that provided Christmas baskets for people in the community. And they readily agreed. So in the first year, with the help of my cousin, we were able to fix up and refurbish these 6 computers and then give them away to the Christmas baskets. And even though I never met the recipients, as it's all done anonymously, this had a profound impact on me. It really struck me that there were people who were dropping off and disposing of all this computer equipment and other electronics that were still usable, and that there was such an opportunity here. So after placing these 6 computers, I began to wonder where these electronics came from. So after doing some research, I found a good statistic that said, that this year alone, we worldwide, we're disposing of 85 billion pounds of electronics. So here in North America, it's pretty expensive to dispose or recycle electronics because of our more stringent laws. So unfortunately, a lot of our electronics in North America end up in landfills or they get shipped overseas. So a lot of them get shipped overseas for low-cost recycling options, as it's much cheaper to deal with there. However, unfortunately, they're often done in unsanitary conditions, as you can see here. So this leads to many problems. So you ask, well, what problems? It's just trash. They're just throwing it away. Well, really, electronics contain a lot of heavy metals, including among them cadmium, lead, and mercury. So these heavy metals are poisonous, and they're toxic to the environment and human health. So just an example, for human health impact, these heavy metals can cause birth defects in children and developmental problems as people are growing up. So, and the saddest thing is that a lot of these electronics can be reused, and they're not. And reusing, very good. And reusing has many benefits. Computers or electronics that can be reused, you're not only saving a new one from being manufactured, saving the energy and the resources there, you're also extending the life of the product, allowing it to live a longer life, and you're often providing a source of electronics or computers to people who otherwise would not be able to have them. So soon after I arrived at McGill, I learned about the Reboot program. So the Reboot is a student-run organization that refurbishes, reuses, and redistributes computers that McGill has slated to be recycled. So they're sending them away to be broken down to get their components out of them. But unfortunately, I learned that Reboot was no longer operating. And after building on my previous experience from what I learned in my hometown, I realized that this was such a great opportunity that it couldn't go to waste. So I decided that I had to restart Reboot, or one could say reboot. So I had to find some space to operate in. So in our first year, I contacted the McGill Office of Sustainability, and with their help, we managed to find a room to work out of. And I rounded up some volunteers, and together, slowly, we learned how to work together, and we taught ourselves how these machines worked, how we can fix them, and it's really a hands-on learning experience. So here's our room, full of computers. So the great thing I find about Reboot is that it brings together people from all kinds of different backgrounds. There's people from almost every faculty in McGill who show up on a regular basis to volunteer. Now, not only do people get hands-on learning experience in technology that they use every day, but most of them don't understand how it works, we also provide opportunities for people to engage in their local community. And in the sense that anyone can come up to us and say, I need a computer, and these are the reasons why, and more likely than not, we'll just give them one, free of charge. So Reboot, the goal behind Reboot is to promote technology sustainability by reusing technology that we have already and to provide a low-cost source of technology for people in the community. So now, slight delay on that. So the benefits that Reboot provides, as I've already explained, are multifaceted. And in our first year of operations alone, on a budget of less than $200, we were able to repurpose, redistribute, and save over 100 computers from being recycled. We got them back into the local community. So I see this accomplishment as a real sign that there's both a demand for used computers and used technology in the Montreal area, as well as that no computer should ever go to waste. So my plan was that at this point you'd be all willing and sold on the idea of reusing technology to its fullest, and that you'd all be willing to throw all your old computers at me and say, here, you can deal with them. However, unfortunately, Reboot is limited in both scope and time and volunteers. So what can you do with your old electronics? Well, thankfully, there's many different things you can do. Ideally, you would try to reuse them. As we can see, as we are often told, reduce, reuse, then recycle. So what opportunities exist out there to reuse them? Well, what I tell people is try to find someone in your local community, or like a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, a fellow classmate, who could possibly use it. Let it be known that you have something that you're not using anymore that can be reused. It often goes a long way. However, if that's not a possibility, you can always try to reach out on the internet, such as Kijiji or eBay, to try to gather a wider audience. There's someone always out there who could use something that you don't need anymore. Barring that, if you cannot find anyone, you can always try to find a local organization or company that will take your used electronics and recycle them in North America, which is ideal because our laws are more stringent and that we don't end up sending them overseas. So, building on the Reboot program, I hope that thank you. So building the Reboot program, I see it as a great success and all that we've been able to accomplish. And my goal in the end, ideally, would be to have a place in Montreal that used the Reboot model to make the scope wider so that everyone from Montreal could accomplish and help in what Reboot is doing. So ideally, I would like to reboot Montreal, if you can say that. So now that's my dream going forward, and I hope you all share that dream with me, and hopefully someday we can make it a reality. Thank you.